Today, I am humbled to follow so many important women and their speeches. Thank you all for what you've done and for your teachings today. In this time of global tumult and the climate crisis, which will affect our children and our children's children, it's the picture of a girl child that embodies for many the hope for environmental change and a better future for us and for our planet. But while the face may be Greta Thunberg's, the hands belong to many, many women, many of them in this room today. History often focuses on exceptional women, suggesting that change is primarily in the hands of women who are exceptional, unusually gifted, or challenged, or blessed. This is the heroine model of history. And here on the screen we see Florence Nightingale, Hua Mulan, and Joan of Arc, women who are known to us as exemplary models, 烈女. But historians and others are beginning to realize that it's not only women who act like men, or women who are exceptional on the scale of initiative and motivation, who make a difference in helping others and in making our lives and our planet better. Women make history happen, whether or not they find a place in history books. In the field of philanthropy or charitable giving, it's men, their names and their faces, which have been celebrated by history. But that story is making room for another story, the story of women in giving. In the field of women's giving, we know that women make a profound difference. We know, for example, that today women are holding more of the world's financial assets. Women's wealth is rising. Currently, women hold about 40% of global wealth, and that number will continue to rise, as it has in the past. According to the Lilly School's Women's Philanthropy Institute, for every $10,000 that a wife's income increases, the total household giving increases more than 5%. But for every $10,000 a husband's income increases, the total household giving increases by only 3%. I return to this slide again for this second panel. It's not just that women are more able to give than in the past. It's that when women can give, women do give. Women are more likely to give than men. And they give more. In 2017, the British-based Institute of Fundraising conducted a survey that revealed that 54% of women give to charity over the past year, compared to 40% of men. 54% compared to 40%. That's a big difference. And women give more than men as well. For example, in 2016, research from the Women's Philanthropy Institute reported that baby boomer women gave 89% more to charity than men the same age. To break it down even further, 93% of high net worth, that is to say wealthy, women give money to charity. 56% volunteer their time and efforts using their own hands. 6% of these women participate in impact investing, and 23% take leadership roles, serving on nonprofit boards, according to a 2018 U.S. Trust Lilly School study of high net worth philanthropy. That's compared to 87% of rich men who give money and 41% of men who volunteer their time. And of course, it's not only wealthy women who give more, research shows. As I mentioned previously, 54% of all women give, compared to 40% of men in general. Not only do women give more, but we give differently. Women's nurturing side finds its way into our charity and the way that we give. Relationships are important to us. We collaborate in groups to shape our giving. We reach out and communicate with each other about what we're doing. We build bridges across streets, across cities, across oceans, like me and my friends at Tzu Chi. And we get things done. Our giving is about building networks of friends, of colleagues, of women, of other compassionate workers. Women may give more because they tend to be more engaged with giving in spontaneous and group-oriented environments, according to Fidelity Charitable's 2016 Women in Giving study. 3/4 of the women in the study explained that they follow their hearts when giving, rather than a strategic plan. The study also reported that 64% of women are motivated by their hearts when donating, versus 53% of men. And 51% of women are motivated to give in the moment, as opposed to 40% of men. And this habit of giving often runs deeper for women than for men. 61% of women grew up giving to charity, whereas just 53% of men identified with that statement. I heard a wonderful story about the founding of Tzu Chi. Whether it's true or not, the story is important. When the Dharma Master decided to create the organization, she gathered 30 housewives who unquestioningly followed their hearts and the need they saw, and started this wonderful group that has flourished and helped change the world since 1966. But if the Master had gathered a different group, so the story goes, for example, professionals or men, they would have analyzed the situation and discussed the possible outcome and debated the pros and cons and decided it was impossible. Women's giving is creative. It has to be. It is collaborative. It builds confidence. It allows women to control certain aspects of their lives. And it takes courage. This is, of course, what Tzu Chi's direct engagement is all about. Personal engagement. Finding the good in ourselves to reach out and to learn from reaching out. This kind of giving leads both the giver and the recipient to higher levels of compassion. This is about action, not theorizing. Courage and creativity. These have always been motifs of women's giving, even and maybe especially in the past. Although women have been constrained by gender barriers in history, we know they have always found ways to give and to give of themselves. These two women that we see became nurses, Buddhist nurses, in a time when nursing was a new profession for women, and in a place and a situation when taking on such a role of caring was profoundly dangerous. Shanghai, 1937.
And this wonderful woman shows how women will not be told no when they want to give.
With their creativity and their courage, commitment, and compassion, they find a way. This is the actress and pilot Li Xiaqing. On July 7, 1937, when the Sino-Japanese War broke out, Li offered her services as a combat pilot. When refused, she asked permission to fly as a ferry pilot or as a courier. Both suggestions were rejected, and Li was grounded for the duration of the war. Intensely disappointed, she still was committed to helping. Instead, she decided to establish a hospital using her own money. Li tells her own story. When war broke out, I helped to establish refugee camps and an emergency hospital for our wounded soldiers. The Japanese put a price on my head. I heard about it and managed to escape from Shanghai several days after the Japanese occupied that city. I came to know the full fury of the war that the Japanese had inflicted on my people when I traveled between Canton and Hong Kong along a railroad line that was continually bombed. In 1938, like another great woman, she went to America and flew her planes all over the USA, raising money for the war effort. Courage, creativity, connections, compassion. Women's giving is more than about status. It's more than tax benefits. Women give from the heart. If you are a woman in this room, look at these questions and think of your own life and how giving back fits in for you. This thoughtfulness, this personal touch is a woman's strength in giving. If you are a man in this audience, think about the women in your life, their strengths, what they have given, and how you can support them. Think of your mothers, your sisters, your daughters, the wonderful nuns in this group. How can you support them to make the difference they make through their giving? Today, we can encourage women to give. We can inspire compassion. We can speak out about what women are doing and what they can do to help this planet of ours. And in so doing, we can inspire hope instead of hopelessness, encourage action instead of despair, and work together for our future. In closing, I want quickly to tell you a part of my own story. I have spent my life studying Chinese history and the history of Chinese giving. But when I looked around in my own neighborhood, I saw there was a need in my own backyard to care for our Mother Earth. This river is next to my home in Boston. As I would walk my children to school, they would ask me, "Mommy, how do the fish live in this filthy river?" I looked into my own heart and I thought about what was most important for me, for my family, for my planet. And I decided to found an organization to clean up that river and to build models that could be used in urban waterways all over the world. Each week, we bring teams of volunteers together to clean the trash out of the river. Led by women and open to all, we pull in our trash boom and we clean our precious waterway. Last week, we pulled this small creature out of the trash and we put him back into a cleaner environment. We must do what we can. Because our environment is ancient, yet it is fragile, and we are mothers, daughters, sisters, and stewards of the earth. No matter where we are or what century we are in, women can and will make a difference. 谢谢大家. Thank you all so much.